Some places in Skyrim want to be found. They're lit with torches, they pulse with quest markers, they shout their purpose in every corner. But others wait in silence. Tucked along the river that snakes between Markarth and Falkreath, nestled in a bend of rock and mist, sits one of Skyrim's quietest locations, Old Roldan Inn. It doesn't advertise itself, no major quest points you here. Most players don't even discover it unless they're exploring on foot or following a courier. But if you enter, something strange tends to happen. You feel like you've stepped into a place that remembers more than it lets on. A place that's both alive and not entirely empty. Because this inn isn't just a building where you can go and have food and get some rest. It's a haunted memory, and the longer you stay, the more you feel like a guest in a story that ended long before you arrived. This inn sits near Karth River, along the winding trail between Markarth and the Reach. It's one of the most isolated inns in the game. There's no town nearby, no farms, no guards, and the closest thing to civilization is a group of forsworn rebels or a wandering saber cat. Yet the inn still stands, fully operational, lanterns lit, food cooked, bedrolls turned down. It's run by Idis, a no-nonsense Nord woman who inherited it from her parents, with her only helper being her young son, who sweeps the floors in quiet loops. And that's about it. Not many adventures, not many travelling merchants, no guards or nobles. Just two of them, running a place people rarely stay at. Which immediately begs a question. Why is the inn even here at all? When you rent the bed upstairs and sleep at night, something unusual happens. You wake to a ghost. He appears beside your bed in spectral form, misty and armed, confused and urgent. He demands his sword, and then he vanishes. This moment is not part of any large quest line. It's not advertised in a book or a bard's tale. It only triggers if you sleep in that room, and only after renting it. There's no build-up, just the ghost and then silence. According to Idis, she claims that he himself once slept there before his conquest of the Reach. This may sound like a local legend, but Skyrim's lore supports it. In the third pocket guide to the Empire, the campaign against the Reach was bloody, complex, and deeply tied to Jarti's rise. Old Roldan was a strategic site during the war, so yes, the man who would become Talos likely did stay here, but something of him stayed with it. The ghost you see isn't violent, he's confused. He asks for his sword as though he's about to return to battle, not realizing centuries have passed. It's one of the few spectral encounters in Skyrim that isn't hostile, Daedric, or horror-themed. It feels more like a time leak than a haunting, and that's what makes it even more eerie. He's not here to scare you, he's here because this room remembers him. Unlike other inns like the Benned Mare or the Winking Skeever, Old Roldan doesn't thrive. There's not really a drinking crowd, no bard, no one passing through, except for yourself. You begin to feel that the inn isn't operating for profit or hospitality. It's performing a routine. The rooms are made, the food is fresh, but it's not for anyone. It's for the past. Idis inherited the inn, yes, but she speaks of it like a burden, not a home. There's no pride, no history celebrated, only work. Like the building itself refuses to admit that it's finished. After the ghost's appearance, you can retrieve the sword from a nearby Forsworn camp. It's not enchanted, it has no stats worth mentioning, but when you return it and place it on the bedside table, something changes. The ghost returns. He thanks you, salutes, and then fades. And that's the end. You don't get a reward, there's no XP, no loot, no title. Just a whisper of closure, as if a loose thread in time was tied off, and the room exhaled. You can keep the sword if you like, or leave it there where it belongs, but the moment stays with you longer than most treasure ever could. Most players skip this inn entirely. It's not connected to the Civil War, it's not tied to the Thieves' Guild, Dark Brotherhood or Daedric quests at this point in time in Skyrim. Even the ghost doesn't trigger a quest log entry. And that's the genius of it. Because Old Roldan isn't meant to be part of your story. It's its own story caught in a loop still playing out long after the actors left the stage. You don't solve anything here. You just have to observe. And maybe if you stay the night, you get to be a part of that memory for a little while. It's easy to assume this inn was built to serve nearby settlements, but there are none. And if you study the map, the inn seems to sit in kind of a dead zone, pressed between regions but belonging to none. There are no supply lines, no guard patrols, no farms. The river is too shallow for real trade. So why is it here in the first place? The answer is simple, because it always has been. Old Roldan predates everything around it. It's a relic of the Second Era, maybe older. The inn, rebuilt again and again, stands not because it's useful, but because someone keeps remembering it. And back in the day, I'm sure it was probably even more bustling than the inn in Whiterun. But someone here keeps saying it matters, even if no one visits anymore. There's something subtle about Idas's son. He's the only child in Skyrim who seems to exist completely alone. He has no friends, no town, no school, and no one to speak to him except his mother and travellers who rarely stop. He spends all day sweeping, not playing, not exploring, just sweeping. Every hour of every day. Sometimes players joke that he's stuck in a loop, but maybe it's not broken. Maybe it's trying to tell us something. His life isn't paused, it's just emptied. He's being raised in a place haunted not just by ghosts, but by expectations, to keep the inn going, to keep the memory alive, even if no one remembers what it was for back in the day. The inn sits at the edge of Forsworn territory. The cliffs nearby are riddled with their camps. The forest trails echoes with their horns. You can walk 20 feet from the inn and be in enemy land. And yet the inn is never attacked. No Forsworn patrol ever arrives. No siege is scripted. Why? Some players think the Forsworn honour the site, that the inn is too tied to the myth of Hijati, too soaked in blood and memory for even rebels to disturb. Others believed it's just unfinished scripting. But in Skyrim, absence is often louder than its presence, and the untouched state of the inn feels somewhat intentional, as though something is protecting it, or everything else is just trying to avoid it. Old Roldan Inn will always be there. It won't collapse, it won't change. The sun will keep sweeping, Idas will keep watching the door, the fire will keep burning. And if you sleep upstairs, a ghost might still appear, just once, looking for a sword he already held, in a war he already won. Some players say Old Roldan is empty, but I think it's full of echoes, full of stories, full of lives paused between frames. Skyrim has loud mysteries, more violent ruins and flashier quests. But Old Roldan is real, in a way few places are, because it doesn't need you to fix it. It just wants you to stay the night and listen.